Hey guys, so this is What If Robin Was in. Well, what if Robin not was in? What if Robin was a vampire? Part 3, Young Justice. Now, guys, part 2, I think it was a month or a couple weeks away, a couple weeks last time. But yeah, there's nothing to really talk because it's one of the Young Justice what ifs that I really love. And let's get into it. Now, last time I left on a cliffhanger asking you guys in the comments, none of you answered, but asking you guys in the comments to basically choose what should be the conflict in the DC Vampires Society. Now, my version of DC Vampires are very different than the DC Vampires in the actual continuity of, DC's vampires. And I Vampire, that's basically what the DC novel or the Vampire DC novel. And pretty much what I'm trying to say here is that let's just get into it and let's not waste any more time. And we start our story off after. Basically, we see that pretty much Deku. I'm really sorry, guys. Just got done recording the What If Deku had the Ultimate Matrix. Let's get into it, guys. Enough talking, enough chit chat. Let's start our story off. Last time we left off in episode, pretty much, the ending of episode 2. Now, let's continue our story with episode 3 and 4. Let's go into it. Now, we start our story off at the beginning where basically we see that, well, a couple of thugs are trying to a couple of thugs are getting some, or pretty much, transferring some products pretty much on the docks in Star City. When we see that, well, Speedy shows up and basically takes down, or not Speedy this time, he calls himself Red Arrow. Basically, we see that Red Arrow pretty much takes down all the guards, arrowing them down and all sorts of other stuff. As pretty much Speedy's fighting them, we see that the rest of the team, Aqualad, Wally, Robin, and the rest of them go up and pretty much help Speedy or Red Arrow against Tombstones. Now, Tombstone starts throwing more rocks and pretty much using the super strength to try to take down the team. When we see that pretty much Aqualad and Speedy are, well, taking care of it. Robin shows up later on, pretty much saying that was pretty good. Basically, them, talking, but as, smoke clears up, Tombstone pretty much throws a rock at the team, but the team uses their skills to pretty much fight back on Tombstone. Tombstone, after a few arrows from Speedy, says, "Is that all you got?" Pretty much him making a smart remark. Now we see that pretty much he says, "Give me your best shot." Basically, Speedy's shooting a stop arrow or some sort of silicone arrow that basically erupts and makes a silicone type mold around Tombstone's, making him immobilized. Now we see that the rest of the team kind of, paper trays, or not really paper trays, just tells Speedy that's pretty good. Now they ask Speedy to be a part of their team, but Speedy says no, saying I'm not going to be a lackey for the Justice League. I'm not going to be a lackey for the Justice League. I'm not going to be the little psychic skin. Basically, him saying, you better do the same thing as me and leave. Basically, him going into the shadows and him disappearing. Basically, Robin using his, seeing the dark powers and seeing that no one's there, seeing that Speedy just disappeared. Now, pretty much, we get hit with that fire intro of season 1, and pretty much, yeah, so I just have to say, season 1's intro is amazing. Also, season 4's intro is amazing. But season 2 and 3's, their intros freaking sucked, bro. And season 3 was so sad and had so much just grief in it. But yeah, whatever. So we start our story off, or continue our story off, and the rest of the team shows up through a boom tube to pretty much Mount Justice. We see that pretty much Robin and Speedy show up to Mount Justice at 11. At 11, pretty much them meeting up with McGann, Superboy, and Aqualad, and also so that's it. So basically, they are there, but they sense or they detect that Red Tornado is coming back. Basically, they go to the back door of Mount Justice to pretty much welcome Red Tornado. When we see Red Tornado show up, basically they pretty much ask Tornado about a mission, or if he has any missions for them. Now Red Tornado informs them that we do not have any missions for you, but we will tell you as soon as we can. Basically, him pretty much telling them that when the time comes, you will be given a mission and you will be ready. Basically, him telling them that we'll tell you when you're needed. Basically, he walks off after they try to ask or beg for a mission, but they don't really get anything. Now, pretty much, Robin pretty much just goes back inside after pretty much Red Tornado, since he doesn't, since pretty much his, calm, or his watch that pretty much gives off a slight, like, little force field that, blocks out all the UV rays away from his body. Pretty much a force field, kind of like that just goes over his skin, basically keeping him from burning in the daylight. Pretty much he just walks in, meaning that he doesn't really stop Wally when Wally tries to flirt with Megan, but Aqualad stops Wally. And basically, we see that basically they start talking, and pretty much Megan tries to use her sidekick powers to try to see what Red Tornado's thinking. But pretty much Robin tells Megan that he's a robot, can't read his mind. And basically, they go back into the building, and pretty much they get a tour by Megan and Superboy. Basically, Robin is saying this is pretty cool. Now, as they're walking around, pretty much showing everything, pretty much Wally makes another move trying to flirt with Megan, but pretty much gets shut down or gets stopped by pretty much Robin. Now she asks, why did the Justice League leave it? Now basically, Robin says, well, they left it because they knew that they got they got compromised, or this place got compromised. But basically, the villains would never expect another group of heroes or a new group of heroes to come here and basically, be here. They would never expect the heroes to be the same place they were before when they got, shown up, or they were, their hiding spot was, found out. Basically, making not really understanding, because Robin's just saying it really fast. Basically, Wally's saying it really fast, but mainly Robin just explaining everything to Megan, normally. Now, basically, we see that the rest of the team, pretty much smells something burning. When Megan hears this, she flies to the kitchen, taking out the cookies that she was making, but sees that they're burnt. They look like hockey pucks. Basically, Robin's saying, I don't even like normal food. I can still taste it, but it doesn't give me nutrition as much as it does, anybody else. Basically, Robin pretty much sees that, Wally just eats the cookies because, Wally just says, I have a high metabolism. I need some food. Basically, her saying, well, thanks. Now, basically, Aqualad says it was kind for you to make anything at all for us. Now, basically, Wally tries to flirt with Megan again. Now, as they're talking, basically, they talk the same way, but basically, Kid Flash says that, well, we all know each other's identity, but Batboy will be here. Batman says he can't show off his identity and can never take his little shades off. Basically, Robin's scoffing, and pretty much them talking and everything. Basically, Superboy is minding his own business when basically Megan telepathy communicates with Robin. Superboy saying, it's okay, Connor. It's okay, Superboy. You'll find your Earth name too. Basically, Superboy getting kind of angry by this, saying, get out of my head. Now she says, what's wrong with everybody psychically, basically messing up their heads, and Robin actually outlashing more than, he would in canon. Basically, him scratching towards Megan. And basically, Megan gets out of the way, but pretty much Robin scratches into one of the counters in the kitchen, basically pinning his hole, or like punching a hole through the cabinet. Now, basically, Robin says, don't do that ever again. Basically, his eyes glowing through his shades and his fangs showing. And basically, Megan would be kind of confused by this, saying, what? Basically, her getting kind of confused and very shocked at what, Robin just did. Now, Robin flakes it off or shakes it off, basically him walking away, and pretty much Superboy and Robin walking away. Now, basically, we see that pretty much Wally tells, Megan that, Superboy doesn't really like that, and, those sidekick, Geos kind of left a nasty taste in his mind. But also, I'm pretty sure Robin's heightened senses or the fact that, you really hurt his head right there. Now, basically, Megan says, I'm sorry, I didn't know. Basically, her saying, I'm really sorry for using my powers. Now, basically, Aqualad tells her not to do that again. It may be the way you communicate on Mars, but you're on Earth now, Megan. Now, basically, they start talking, and Megan says, I have something else to show you. Now, Megan, begs Robin and Cerulli to come with them, and pretty much they agree. Basically, after Robin calms his, body down or calms down, basically they walk over to pretty much the bioship and pretty much find themselves, well, pretty much well, they find themselves pretty much, well, she shows Bioship to them, and pretty much they go on kind of a hitch ride or just start flying around, basically, talking. And pretty much, Robin says, I'm sorry, Megan. Basically, him actually apologizing out in the open before Superboy ever did. Now, basically, Robin pretty much says, how about a little bit of Martian shapeshifting after, they talk a little bit. Now, basically, she does say the Martian shapeshifting. Basically, Wally making that same smart remark when, Megan transforms into a female version of him. But basically, Robin says it's not that, convincing. Pretty much her saying it's a lot more hard to mimic, well, boys. Basically, her pretty much, going on and pretty much showing off her powers. Now, we see that pretty much Robin says, let me show you something. And basically, Robin takes off his jacket and shirt, basically making saying, what are you doing? Basically, him saying, watch. Now, basically, Robin's been training for this, and basically, Robin focuses everything in his body, and he transforms into a fleet of bats. Basically, all of them being very confused about what's going on. Robin starts flying around, but he passes out, or he doesn't really pass out, he just pretty much, well, stops, his swarm of bats after they get a call from the tornado to check out Happy Harbor. Now, basically, Robin falls down on the ground with basically him halfway naked. Basically, his hero costume was, Robin's suit being the only uniform that is actually made out of material that can actually move with his body. Now we see that Robin gets back up, basically him putting on his clothes, and basically them go into Happy Harbor. They look around and they're confused on what's going on. They're not confused when they get hit with a tornado in Happy Harbor in the daytime, where it's not a single glimpse of bad weather. And basically we see that, well, Robin and the rest of the team safely or fly away nearly safely and get out of the pretty much, well, what was it? Get out of the pretty much, well, ship as fast as possible. They get out of the ship and they land it pretty, nearly safely. And basically they get out and they go into the warehouse building where they see the chaos happening. They walk into the building and basically we see that, well, Robin, well, sneaks away from the rest of the team before they can all even, well, recognize that he's gone. Now basically Robin sprints into the warehouse, basically him on top of the ceiling using his vampire abilities to pretty much hide in his stealth. Now Robin's already stealthy as it is since he is, Batman's, well, apprentice or sidekick because he's trained by the knight himself. Now, I said this in my first part, but like Robin's like straight up god level sneaky. Basically him being able to pretty much sneak by a literal all-seeing god if he really wanted to. Since Deku has the speed, the agility, and the stealthiness of an actual vampire, and also plus the stealthiness of a Robin or somebody that's trained by one of the most stealthiest people in the DC comics ever, Batman. Now basically, we see that Robin pretty much jumps down, basically landing Superman style or Superman pose. Pretty much instead of a fist landing on the ground, he just his open palms, kind of like more of a Superman Spider-Man type of landing pose. Basically, him sprinting towards Twister. Now he starts, well, jumping out of the way, dodging most of his attacks, basically, well, passing by most of his wind attacks at all times. Basically, Twister being very confused on how Robin's moving so fast. Basically, Twister not really knowing that, well, Robin, because Twister has, knowledge of, out there, sidekicks, because everybody knows Robin and Kid Flash and all the others. Basically, him not really recognizing Robin, but him being confused on why this child is so fast. Now, basically, he would be running around, basically going over and over. Basically, the rest of the team showing up as, Robin is a little like 6 feet away from Twister. Twister shoots one beam of pretty much win towards the rest of the team. And as Robin looks at the back of the rest of the team, he's caught off guard, and Twister shoots a huge burst of wind towards Robin, pushing Robin into the ceiling, out of the ceiling, out of the building. Basically, him falling up into the air. We see that Robin's pretty much daylight watch pretty much glitch out, and pretty much his skin starts burning for a couple minutes. Now he falls into the ground, laying on top of the building and falling off of the building on the side, falling onto a car and breaking a few bones. Now his vampire regeneration kicks in, and he starts crawling to the warehouse. He starts to heal himself faster, and pretty much he takes one batarang out, and pretty much starts running towards Twister at full speed, throwing a batarang right through his eye, or right between his eyes. Basically, Twister dodging out of the way. Now as Twister and the rest of the team pretty much start duking it out even more, kind of originally, they go all out, basically them starting to get kind of straight up folded by Twister. Now, pretty much as Twister and the rest of the team are fighting, pretty much later on in the fight, basically we see that Twister using his powers, and pretty much the rest of the team conclusion that this isn't Twister, or this isn't a villain. This is probably just Red Tornado. Now, basically, they think it's Red Tornado for a little while. When they see that Red Tornado or Twister pulls off something and Red Tornado can't, like a Storm Tornado, basically, they start getting out of the way. Now, Robin, pretty much, as they're about to get shocked, and pretty much, as they're about to get blasted by, Twister, basically, right before Twister, finishes off the blast, basically, you see that Megan uses, her bioship and cloak form to basically make it look like they disappeared, hitting it over their bodies, or over them. Pretty much, Superboy getting up and getting kind of angry at Megan, pretty much saying that she messed up the mission. Basically, him getting angry at Megan. Now, the rest of the team see that kind of get angry, but pretty much Megan is kind of distraught by this. Now we switch on to the rest of the episode when pretty much we see that Wally, Kid Flash, and Robin all go after Twister to basically, fight him and to try to stop the situation from getting harder. Now we see that Twister uses his powers to make more havoc near Happy Harbor, basically making 3 cyclones or 3 tornadoes all together, and pretty much making all sorts of havoc and breaking all sorts of buildings. When we see Wally show up trying to, defeat pretty much, Twister, straight up drop kicking him up in the chest. We see that Twister looks around, basically seeing that Superboy and Wally start to try to double team Twister. Now Twister starts making tornado waves all towards Twister. And we see that pretty much Megan goes towards Red Tornado to probably, find help. Basically, she finds that she might have a plan. As we see that happening, basically, we see that, Aqualad gets thrown around. All 3 of them are just getting folded at this point. Now, Robin jumps in, pretty much balancing out the scales since his, powers. Basically, he starts running around Red Tornado, basically using his tankiness, or not his tankiness, but his vampire abilities, plus his, batarangs more faster over time, going on and on pretty much, on pretty much Twister. Basically, Twister starts shooting more beams or more blast of wind towards the team, but pretty much Robin takes out his utility belt and puts it around his waist, basically him saying, I got a plan. Basically, he starts charging towards the Red Tornado and he starts running towards Twister at absolute full speed, Miamically, or pretty much just villainously, basically him literally charging towards Twister, giving off kind of that killing vibe. Now, as he's running towards Twister, we see that Red Tornado shows up. Basically, Red Tornado is showing up and basically landing right in front of Robin. Robin stops in his tracks, him tripping over his feet since he, was running at full speed and he just had to stop. Now, Red Tornado says, I got this, and pretty much tells the rest of the team to just go away. And they go away to watch from afar, and basically we see that Red Tornado uses his wind manipulation to basically, fight against Twister. Now, as they're fighting, basically, Twister seems to win. But when Twister tries to take the knowledge or the powers, or pretty much just, siphon off of Red Tornado, we see that Red Tornado isn't a robot. It's a Megan in disguise that was fighting Twister all along. Now, pretty much, as Megan basically, pushes or pulls we basically see that, well, Megan rips apart Twister, basically a scene, pretty much a person come out of the suit, or the Twister being a suit. But Megan uses her powers to basically carry a boulder and crush the man. Basically, the team being shocked at what's going on. Now, Robin actually senses this thing since he didn't sense or smell the blood through the man's veins, or didn't smell the sense or the scent of a human. Now, basically, Megan says that I didn't pick up any type of, well, sensing. I didn't sense him at all. Basically, us getting shown that pretty much Megan knew that he wasn't, alive, and Robin knew he wasn't alive either. Now, basically, as pretty much Wally takes a souvenir, one of the robot man's pretty much eye. Pretty much they go back to the Mount Justice, trying to siphon off of the rest of the robot man's body parts, trying to figure out what was going on or who is Twister. Now, basically, Red Tornado says you did good and you accorded a very good plan. Now, basically, pretty much we see that the rest of the team are given, or pretty much are congratulated, or maybe kind of scolded slash congratulated, giving kind of a cold type of thing or whatever. Now, basically, Red Tornado walks away. Basically, Robin walking off to pretty much his room. Him living here for a couple of days, but mainly him staying with Batman, since Batman wants to monitor Robin all the time, and pretty much Robin's becoming number one priority on Batman's list. Now, Batman has tried to at sometimes when he was off, or he had a little bit of time, he would always try to find a cure for Robin. Now, basically, Batman was actually warming up to this situation, because why shouldn't Robin not be able to be a vampire? Now, basically, you see that Robin, basically, from that point, basically, we see that Robin pretty much watches everything go down. Now, basically, no, sorry, no, man, I forgot. Basically, Robin did tell Batman that he still wanted to be a vampire. But basically, it gets switched to basically, episode 4, Drop Zone. Now we see pretty much the beginning of episode 4, basically at some sort of island, where Cobra is pretty much, cornered Bane. Basically, Bane is given a serum to pretty much go in a boxing ring with somebody else that has a serum that is supposed to be better than his. Now, basically, as they're fighting, basically the man with the other serum has more of over strength, or has more strength over Bane, because the serum makes him more of a monster. Now, basically, we can switch to that fire intro after that little opening scene, and pretty much we see the rest of the team get ready or get told about their mission. Now, basically, as they're in their bioship, we get a flashback of Robin hearing basically what was going on, and pretty much, the mission. Now, basically, Robin, they get told the same mission over and over again, but before they're about to go or do their drop zone, basically, Robin is told to pretty much keep down and keep his control and his composure as much as possible. Do not let your bloodlust get overwhelmed over you, or get over your head. And basically, Robin says, I won't. Pretty much him, the first time actually hugging Batman and actually seeing him as a true father. Basically, them actually coming a little bit more closer since the whole entire vampire thing, and Batman trying to help pretty much Robin as much as possible. Now we see that pretty much they start their mission. Basically, Aqualad being dropped down to the ocean. Pretty much him taking out his swords to pretty much cut through the ocean barrier, or the ropes. Basically, getting over the ocean barrier. Him pretty much swimming over to the other area, taking out some tech that pretty much do a mimicking, or pretty much mimic the motion sensors into feeling the same motion. Him mimicking the cameras and also the motion sensors. Now, as they're beginning, their whole entire, mission, or the drop zone mission, basically they're all given a pretty much a line to pretty much zip down, and basically Robin doesn't take a line. Basically, Robin pretty much morphing into more of a stealth suit. Basically, him, morphing into a stealth suit. Now, Megan goes in her stealth suit. Basically, while he's saying that looks so good. Basically, him also telling Superboy, "How about you try your technology on?" Basically, Superboy saying, "Nah, I don't like tights I don't like tights." Basically, Megan says it totally works for you. Basically, her, actually outgoing flirting towards Superboy. And Superboy just scoffs it off. And as they get out of the bioship, Superboy lands, but making a whole crater. Basically, Nightwing saying, and pretty much what Robin saying, I didn't go with a line, but I can actually land without making a seismic event or making a crater. Now, basically, as they're, going on with their mission, running into the jungle, basically doing their covert mission. We basically see that Robin is actually passing by all of the team very quickly. But basically, while he says to slow down, basically Batman, pretty much what Robin's saying to slow down. You're a speedster. You should be able to go faster than me. I'm not fast enough to go as fast as a speedster like you. But basically, we see that pretty much the rest of the team, as they're going to the forest, they see that Robin just disappeared away from their group. Basically, while he's saying, What the heck did he go?" And basically, you see that pretty much, Robin has just disappeared into the forest. Basically, him going to tree, pretty much seeing the whole touch situation, seeing the Cobra, or pretty much two, pretty much guards, or two people colliding together. Him using his, pretty much, night vision to see it. Now, basically, they watch everything by far, and pretty much Wally just uses speed to run over there to see what's going on. As he's running, he trips, and he pretty much falls right into the middle of the shootout, basically causing them to get spotted, and Bane shooting towards them, or Cobra shooting towards them. Now, as this, whole entire shootout is, pretty much pushed towards the team, basically, pretty much Robin comes out of the shadows saying, "What are you doing?" Basically, Robin looks around, basically, seeing Robin in his stealth suit, him in a stealth suit, basically, basically, Robin has a stealth suit. Basically, all the red in his suit being replaced with pitch black. Basically, only red left in his suit on the side of his, thighs, and pretty much his, not really nothing else, just his Robin logo is everything, left. Now, basically, pretty much as they go on with the mission, basically Wally starts arguing with Robin about how he just went into the shadows, pretty much him saying how he's supposed to follow your lead. As they're fighting, basically, we see that pretty much, as they're fighting, they basically, we see they tie up all the Cobra they tie up all the thugs and also all the Cobra, pretty much people, basically them finding Bane. Now they use Bane for answers and to get them to the Cobra base, basically them getting to the Cobra base with the help of Bane, basically them getting over there. Now pretty much Robin grabs Bane by the arm, basically him pushing him towards his height, pretty much Bane's sensing or knowing how strong Robin is. Robin saying, "If you betray us, I'll kill you." Basically him pushing Bane back. Now Robin goes first to pretty much sneak into the warehouse, and basically the rest of them follow. Now Robin starts to sneak around trying to find out what was going on. Pretty much we see the rest of the team, Superboy, Megan, and Aqualad pretty much watching everything. But we also see Robin trying to get some information. He also gets aided by Wally, basically him telling Wally about pretty much the whole entire thing about, him and pretty much, him and pretty much, what was it? Him and, oh no, I am so sorry, guys. Basically, he gets told about, pretty much, or he tells Wally about the information that he found about pretty much, the new serum, or the new Cobra or serum. Pretty much mixing the serum of the venom and also some sort of other toxin or other chemical. Now, pretty much Megan tells everybody the information and how Sportsmaster is here. Now, Bane overhears this and basically sees this as an opportunity and basically, makes a ruckus and basically fights the Cobra people. Basically, they shoot off bullets, alerting everybody outside, and pretty much Cobra goes and fights against them. basically them being ambushed. Now, Aqualad takes down most of the guards, pretty much pushing everybody back, and as this is happening, Bane walks off. Now, basically, we see that, Megan flies up to the, well, pretty much building, trying to push everything back, or trying to fight against his, her fellow partners. Basically, Sportsmaster, you taking out a spear, they're pretty much, well, take out, well, Megan. Basically pushing Megan backwards and stopping her. Now, Wally and Robin show up. Basically, Robin smirking and pretty much going into the shadows. Pretty much running out of the building. Him getting out of the building and running into pretty much the girl and the cover master. And pretty much the girl runs towards Robin, and Robin starts to fight the girl. Basically, him getting into a fighting position. Now, it gets told by Aqualad to pretty much go on a mission, but it doesn't really listen. The girl tries to fight Robin, try to go punch towards Robin. Robin dodges it, grabs the girl's hand, and chucks her like a freaking football up against the wall. Basically, Cobra Master being impressed at the strength of Robin. Now, Robin looks at the Cobra Master saying, "You look familiar." The Cobra Master looks at Robin and says, the glint in your eye, I can even see it through your mask. You returned." Basically, Deku being Robin being kind of confused on it. Why the Cobra Master knows about vampires. Now, the Cobra Master in this universe, he would be the only one out of the Society of Vampires that would actually know anybody. He would be one of the people that know about the vampires, other than Robin, Batman, and the Society of Vampires. Basically, Cobra Master saying, I've seen what you people can do. And I have killed many of your species, and I'm not scared one bit. Basically, the Cobra Master pretty much about to straight up just murk Robin. Robin gets called again by Aqualad to get in here, and pretty much Aqualad, gets to Robin, and Robin throws a smoke bomb or a smoke grenade, getting out there quick in a hurry. Now we see pretty much Robin, disappear, and he comes back into the building, basically aiding the rest of his team. And as they get away, pretty much blacking themselves off from the rest of the people that are following them through the tunnels, basically they all start arguing about who should be the team leader. Now Robin says, "I'm the strongest, so I should be the leader." Basically, Superboy kind of scoffing at this. Pretty much they start arguing over and over until they come to the conclusion that Aqualad should be the leader, since he's the most wisest and he thinks the most clearest. Now basically, we get switched outside. We see the Cobra Master basically scold his, troop or his ploopling, pretty much the person that was guarding him at the beginning, that Robin folded in a matter of like 1.2 seconds. Basically, we see that Robin pretty much, tells everybody about the plans and pretty much tells them about everything that happened in the original. Now, Robin doesn't tell them about the whole entire thing about how Cobra Master knows that he's a vampire or whatever. Now, as they're running and getting out of the building, they come across Bane, and Bane tries to blow them up, or pretty much cave them into the tunnel. As they're doing that, basically we see that Bane takes a bunch of serum, basically him about to take down the, pretty much, them, and pretty much him, Rick and everything. Now, while you're giving the, psychic heads up to pretty much run over there and pretty much just grab the detonator out of Bane's hand, and basically as that happens, pretty much Robin actually goes up and just grabs Bane and pushes him down to the ground, starting to beat him senseless. Now, pretty much the rest of the team was kind of confused on. Pretty much Bane was a bloody mess. Robin beat him senseless. I mean, beat him senseless. Basically, Robin, gets off of Bane's body after, the rest of the team try to stop him and push him back off and off and off all over again, because he keeps on get out of the grass, taking on Bane. Now, as they get over, the whole entire Bane situation, they, pretty much ambush the rest of the Cobra, pretty much people, and pretty much they start fighting each other. Sportsmaster shooting type of laser beams towards Superboy, and pretty much Megan going into Sportsmaster's ship, basically seeing what was going on. Now, Sportsmaster uses his skills to pretty much pit Megan into a chokehold, pretty much pushing her back, and him, pretty much, them all fighting. Now, we see that Wally starts to fight, pretty much seeing that, Robin takes out the other girl again with just his, gadgets, and he says, "I had enough of your games, who are you?" Now, pretty much the Cobra Master shows himself saying, You should be ashamed of yourself, boy. I know what I can do. and you are nothing special. Now Robin glints at this and says, I'm nothing special. Basically, Robin starts sprinting towards Cobra Master, basically his eyes glowing through his mask. Cobra Master saying never saw a vampire, never saw his eyes glow as bright as you, only once. And basically him having flashbacks of Dracula. In this universe, Dracula would be the one that would actually straight up be the only one that would actually legitimately beat the literal crud out of the Cobra Master. Now basically, Robin would have sprinted towards the Cobra Master, and the Cobra Master would have dodged more of his attacks. The Cobra Master being pretty much well fueled by rage, and also flashbacks, and pretty much him just trying to deal with this threat as fast as possible. Him kicking Robin into the chest and punching him so many punches and attacks that would normally kill a normal person or kill a normal original Robin, but Robin would be dodging most of the attacks and basically start kicking back, and them actually going toe to toe, them actually having more or less an equal fight, them being equally matched in strength, or basically not equally. Robin would be stronger than him, but whatever. Basically, they would be equally matched in skill, or not really skill, but mainly the only skill Robin would have to be equal in fighting or combat skill against Cobra would pretty much be his strength and his speed. Now basically they would go fight and they would be, going toe to toe. Now as they were fighting, we would see Sportsmaster and Megan, the Superboy's fight, go the same. Basically, a scene that pretty much Robin would be fighting Cobra Master. Now Robin would be starting to lose because Cobra Master would take pretty much a piece of, Cobra Master would use most of his techniques to try to go over the pretty much weaknesses that Robin had. Him pretty much punching Robin over and over again, and him throwing him up against pretty much trees, him taking branches and hitting him upside the head, and even stabbing Robin in the leg and near the chest with a branch. Now Robin will be coughing up blood. Basically, him about to get finished off by, Cobra. Pretty much the rest of the team showing up and stopping Cobra from killing Robin. Now Robin would take out the wood away from his heart, basically him taking it out. Now as they got back to the, pretty much Mount Justice after Batman, knew that they completely messed up the covert mission and most of the stuff was burned alive. But pretty much Batman gives them a slight scolding, but also a slight type of, congratulations. It being kind of, mischievous with so entire intent. Now basically, we see the rest of the team, be kind of proud of themselves, and then we get switched to pretty much Sportsmaster talking to the light. Now, as he's talking to the light, we see pretty much a side credit or end credit. Us basically seeing, the dark, or pretty much the vampire society. Basically them saying that our society has been tormented by the likes of the light. Very much, I'm gonna leave it up here, guys. So guys, please, this is the only question I want to ask you guys. Please, give me a conflict to basically give the vampire society so it can move on to Robin, or pretty much get to Robin at one point. Now, I might do vampires, or I might do vampire hunters, or I might do vampires as in evil vampires, or corrupt, more monsters vampires as a conflict, or I might go as werewolves as a conflict, or maybe vampire hunters as a conflict in the vampire society. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys like and subscribe, and please guys, either one of those, what you guys want to pick, because I can't pick between vampire hunters or werewolves to be a conflict in the vampire society. So please guys, answer that question in the comments. See you guys later. Bye. As always, have a blessed day. Cheers.